What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Saturday morning episode of the Daily Juice Podcast. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all of my socials at Sports Talk Matt, and this podcast being brought to you by our friends at DraftKings. No cat today, guys. Sorry, the cat has been locked out of the room. Thank you for all the notes, the messages, the DMs, the retweets, all of the laughter. The dead cat bounce worked for the Bruins. It did not work for me, unfortunately, because it was a losing day. Creighton gets killed at home. Arizona gets beat up at home. 0-2 in college basketball. Why? Well, turnovers. You cannot turn the basketball over and shoot really poorly from behind the arc, which is what happened for both Arizona and Creighton yesterday. Should have taken the emotional hedge and just bet Nebraska, but I couldn't bring myself to do it because I hate that program. Big win for the Huskers. Congratulations. Great coaching job by Fred Hoiberg. Really had the Jays befuddled. The shots just did not fall. Jays shot under 30% from behind the arc. If they hit their threes, they win. If they miss their threes, they're dead, and they were dead last night. The under comes in easily for UNLV, so another college football hit for us. College basketball's not been great. College football continues to be decent. We come in with a 1-2 mark and a 1.2 unit down day for a Friday. I can't win 3 days in a row. It's win-win-loss, win-win-loss. So today should be a win, hopefully, as we're having a pretty good week. But here we are on a Saturday. This is a really hard card. I've been going back and forth. Okay, I've got 3 plays officially. I've got 3 other plays I will give you guys on the Saturday morning live chat, which will take place at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Pacific on the BettingPros Discord channel. BettingPros.com/chat to get into it. We'll break down all the line moves, all the latest news and information. I'll give you 3 more plays that I am on personally. I'll give you thoughts like, I don't know what to do with Indiana and Ohio State. I think Ohio State kills them, but I don't know what to do with it. I can't bet it. Feels like Indiana is going to have something for the Buckeyes. I don't know. I can make a case for both sides. So we'll discuss it. We'll talk about it. We'll break it down this morning on the Discord channel, bettingpros.com/chat to get in, and I'll give you my full card, which really will only be about 6 bets. Got to be careful, guys, okay? You can't go crazy. You got to be very selective. You got to basically have like 10 plays and whittle it down to 4 or 5 because this is a really hard week. It's a really sharp market. The books have tons of information. It's a hard week. But before I give you the picks, this podcast is being brought to you by friends at DraftKings and the new DraftKings Pick Six app. You play $5, you get $50 instantly in Pick Six credits for you guys to be a part of this. If you want to be a part of this, go and download it. On Monday, I will give you that said DraftKings Pick Six. We hit it last week. I'll give it to you for Monday Night Football. Download the DraftKings app, $5 to get $50 in Pick Six credits when you use the code JUICE when you sign up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus in most eligible jurisdictions, but other age and eligibility restrictions may vary. Valid only in jurisdictions where DraftKings Pick Six operates. Pick Six not available everywhere, including but not limited to New York, California, Ontario, and Canada. Void where prohibited. Pick Six credits expire after 30 days. A $5 play gets you $50 issued in non-withdrawable credits. For full terms, log on to picksix.draftkings.com/promo. Okay, 3 plays for you. Let's start with BYU at Arizona. That's a 3:30 kick Eastern Time. It's a 12:30 top of the day type of kick, which is beneficial to BYU. Not a lot of drunk Arizona State fans. A lot of them will be kind of hungover going from Friday night to Saturday, stumbling out of their bed. This number has moved to 3.5, and once it moved to 3.5, I really liked BYU. I really like BYU here. Here's a couple of things. This is where trends are your friend until they're not, but here's where BYU. They went 9-0. Everyone faded them last week. I was on them. I was wrong. Teams, according to the Action Network, in their 8th game or later, coming off of losing their first game of the year on a 2+ game ATS losing streak, which is what BYU is on, are 18-8 straight up, 17-8-1 against the spread in their next game. That's since 2020. The Sun Devils are favored over a top 15 team for the first time since 2014. That was against Notre Dame. Arizona State hasn't won a game over a top 15 team since 2019. They've lost 8 consecutive games here. They may win the game, but give me plus 3.5. BYU is 4-1 ATS on the road. Arizona State is 5-0 ATS at home. But look at some of these numbers. They were at home against Central Florida, laying 2.5. They won by 4. Against Utah, they were catching 6. They won by 8. But against Kansas, they were laying 2, and they won by 4. Against Mississippi State, they were laying 6, and they won by 7. And they killed Wyoming, laying 6.5, and won by 41. This team is way ahead of schedule. This team is still on sanctions. They've covered 3 games in a row. They are 5-2 against the Big 12, but BYU is 4-3 against the Big 12. Take a look at some of their common opponents. On the road, at home, Arizona State beat UCF by 4. BYU went to UCF and won by 13 on the road. Against Kansas State, Arizona State went on the road and they won by 7. They won by 10. At home, BYU beat Kansas State by 29. They killed them. They've both played Wyoming. They both killed them. Won by 20 for BYU and 41 for Arizona State. Arizona State has got tremendous running backs and really hard guys to tackle. BYU's defense is going to have to be on point, but after losing at home to Kansas last week, BYU still has a ton to play for. They can still win the Big 12. They can still play in the Big 12 championship, but they got to win this game. This is backs against the wall type stuff here. And look, Arizona State is, technically still alive as well, even though I don't think they're going to be able to do it. They're 8-2. They're only a game behind BYU. 5-0 BYU on the road straight up. 5-0 Arizona State at home straight up. Something has to give. I'm taking the points. BYU plus 3.5 on the road against Arizona State. I'm going against everybody here. Everyone's on the Sun Devils. I'm taking BYU for a second straight week. Maybe it burns me. I'm taking BYU plus 3.5. Bet number 2, right back to our trends. How about Billy Napier? 3-0 straight up, 3-0 ATS over their last 3 home games in the Swamp. Really impressive. At Florida, the Gators were just dismal. They were just dismal. When they get to 5 wins or more, however, Florida, they are 1-8 straight up and 3-6 ATS, losing 8 in a row entering the week after they get their 5th win. Now, that's a wonky trend. Want a better trend? Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss since 2019 as a road favorite, 15-2 straight up, 12-4-1 ATS on the road. Overall, Florida has lost 14 consecutive games straight up as a double-digit dog, dating back to 2016. And going back to 1990, Florida is 3-24 straight up as a double-digit dog. Ole Miss comes into this game with a chance to do some big things. They're 7-3 overall ATS. They're 3-3 in the conference ATS, while Florida is 5-2. But the last 2 games against Georgia and Arkansas, Ole Miss has been very good. Ole Miss was on a bye last week. They're coming off of a bye. The win over LSU last week at home for Florida, they are riding high. Big men on campus, feeling great about themselves. They're 3-3 ATS, though, at home. They got housed by Miami at home. They have looked much better of late, but they lost to Georgia by 14, the same Georgia team that Ole Miss just beat by 18. The number is 11.5. I think Ole Miss goes and puts up a number here. I think they go and send a message. I think Ole Miss is a top 3 team in college football. They win, and they win big over Florida. I'm laying the 11.5 with Ole Miss. Ole Miss laying 11.5 on the road in the Swamp against Florida for 1.1 units. In our third and final play, we're going to go back to Cal. We've been riding this team for a while. The number is 14.5. I'm going to pay the dime and pull this to 14. Stanford at Cal. Stanford is 1-3 ATS on the road this year. Stanford is 2-4-1 ATS against the Pac-12 this year / Big 12 / whoever you want to describe it as. Cal, ACC school now, they're 6-4 ATS. They're 3-3 at home, but they're coming off of a loss at home against Syracuse. bounce back spot here for Cal. For Stanford, they're coming off of a shocking win over Louisville. They're catching 2 points. We're going to sell high here on them because it snapped a 6-game losing streak for Stanford. Overall, they are 3-6-1 against the number this season. On the road, they are 1-3. Cal straight up is 3-3. But I think we have a chance on a second home game here after the loss to Syracuse. Bounce back spot for Cal here, or 5-5. They can become Belt Bowl eligible with a win here. I think Cal will go and beat up on Stanford. I don't think Stanford's going to be able to stop Cal. I've liked this California team a lot this season. I've been on them a bunch of times. I just don't want to lose on the hook at 14.5. That's why I'm going to buy it down to 14. Stanford's giving up 37.7 points per game. That's 123rd in college football. 4.7 yards per rush. That's nearly outside the top 100. And Cal should throw all over Stanford. They're giving up 8.9 yards per pass play. That's 128th. They're giving up 275 yards through the air per game. That's 124th. This should be Cal big. Cal scoring at will, and Stanford's offense is scoring 20 points per game. That's outside the top 110. That's 110th in the country. That's the top 100. And Cal's only giving up 21.6 points per game. That's top 30 in college football. You don't run on Cal's defense. They have a top 15 rush defense, or 3.2 yards per rush. Hard to pass on them, 6.9 yards per pass play. That's top 50. Stanford won't score. Stanford won't stop Cal. Cal minus 14. We'll buy the extra half a point down to minus 120. All right. So 3 plays for us here today on the official card. Ole Miss minus 11.5 on the road at Florida at minus 110. BYU on the road at Arizona State catching 3.5 at minus 110. And Cal laying 14, buying it down to 14 at minus 120 at home against Stanford for 1.1 units. As we always say, as we get later in the year, the card gets smaller officially for us, but I'll give you some extra plays on our live chat at 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern time. BettingPros.com/chat to join us. If you've never come on in, it's a lot of fun. We'll break down all the games as we head towards week 13 here in college football. My name is Matt Perrault. Follow me across all socials at Sports Talk Matt every morning. It is the Daily Juice Podcast presented by DraftKings.